Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. I have a little bit of a birthday book haul, and then also I want to share, I got hooked by Barnes & Noble's recent pre-order campaign they did, where they were doing 25% off of pre-orders. I figured, why not? These are books I was going to buy anyway. Might as well pre-order some of them. Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about those as well. How I think about my bookshelf is I don't have a lot of room, so I prioritize favorite books. I typically want to have a copy of them on my bookshelf, or if they're a book that I think that I'm going to reread someday, which I reread a lot. So I have a running list of physical books that I'm looking for when I shop at the used bookstore, for example. But it's also nice sometimes to just go to a bookshop and browse and find something new off the shelf. And that's what I did for my birthday. Only one of these is from the used bookstore, and it's kind of a find. I feel like a lot of people would be very excited to have this in their book collection. I found a signed copy of Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Strange the Dreamer is a novel that I hear people lovingly speak of, about a man named Strange who enters a dream world of some kind. That's all I know about it. Laini Taylor's writing is considered whimsical, and people love this story. So I've been interested in picking it up. When I saw the spine on the shelf, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's a pretty hardcover. I don't know who Nicole is, but thanks for selling your copy of your signed book, because now it's my copy of the signed book. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a funny find. I always feel weird about selling signed books to used bookstores. Is that just me? The next book I picked up, I was intentionally going out to get. Kaikeyi had recently come out. This is a retelling of a character from Indian folklore stories named Kaikeyi, who is often described as like the evil queen. And this story, the author is taking the character into her own hands, telling her side of the story. Just listen to the first line. I was born on the full moon under an auspicious constellation, the holiest of positions. Much good it did me. I love that. And also because of various connections that I have through writer Twitter, I had been hearing about this book for a long time, and so I was very excited to get my hands on my own copy. Then I picked up The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Last year I read and really enjoyed The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, which is an epic adult fantasy. And when I say epic, I mean epic. It's a standalone, and when reading this, it feels like a trilogy in itself. I really enjoyed the world building and the characters, and decided that I want to read some of Samantha Shannon's backlist. And this is the first book of a trilogy. Clairvoyance in all its forms has been decreed a criminal offense, and those who practice it have been forced underground to avoid vicious punishment. A clairvoyant underworld has developed, combating persecution and evading capture. Paige Mahoney, a powerful dreamwalker operating in the Seven Dials district of London, lives a double life, using her unnaturalness illegally while hiding her gift from her father, who works high up in the Scion regime. It sounds really cool. Contemporary urban fantasy, sort of, and I've heard really good things about this trilogy. I'm planning on reading this trilogy while waiting for the prequel novel to Priory of the Orange Tree to come out next year. Next, when I saw Armor sitting on the shelf in this wonderful new cover, I couldn't say no, especially because this is another one of the books that was highly recommended to me in that military science fiction video I did. I mean, look at this. Look how great they did this cover. Armor by John Steakley, the tale of courage on a dangerous alien planet following the soldier Felix. And of course, it also features really cool battle armor. I love really cool battle armor. Last, I picked up a novel that was totally not on my radar at all, but the cover intrigued me, and then when I read the description, I was like, yes, this is gonna be up my alley. Hunt the Stars by Jesse Mihalik, which is a science fiction, and I've actually read it already. It's about a bounty hunter who takes a job for a general in the army that used to be humanity's enemy, but now they're not enemies anymore, or so you're supposed to think. As I was reading the description, I was like, there's gonna be a side dish of romance in this novel. And I was right, and it was wonderful. And I firmly believe we need more science fiction romance in the world. So if you're looking for science fiction romance, pick this up, but I'm gonna talk more about this later. This book gave me exactly what I wanted it to give me. Yes, so I'm really glad I picked it up. There is a sequel novel coming out in just a few months. Yay. I mentioned wanting to fill my bookshelves with books that are absolute favorites. And if that's the case, then my bookshelf would never be complete without Dark of the West, because I love it so much. And also I got Storm from the East, and also I got Southern Sun, Northern Star, because the third book in the trilogy recently came out on paperback, so now I have the whole trilogy. I've just recently reread book 1. I'm currently rereading book 2 on audiobook, and then I'm gonna reread book 3 because that's how strong this trilogy is, how much I loved the characters. There's so much groundwork that she lays before that you just don't catch the first time you read it that gives the series really great rereadability, so I had to have it. Okay, and on to some of the books that I pre-ordered. One of the books that I pre-ordered has actually come out. It released this week, which is Book of Night by Holly Black. It's her first adult fantasy release, and it's actually on its way to my door now. I know it's in the mail, but I haven't received it yet. I grabbed my laptop so I can read a little bit about the information from the book. So Book of Night. Charlie Hall has never found a lock she couldn't pick, a book she couldn't steal, or a bad decision she wouldn't make. She spent half her life working for gloamists, magicians who manipulate shadows to peer into locked rooms, strangle people in their beds, or worse. Gloamists guards their secret greedily, creating an underground economy of grimoires, and to rob their fellow magicians, they need Charlie. That sounds pretty cool. Actually, it reminds me a little bit of the Bone Season with an underground magical society in a contemporary world. I also got volumes 2 and 3 of The Lore Olympus. So I have volume 1 of The Lore Olympus, which is a graphic novel. It is a Hades Persephone retelling with kind of a modern twist that I really fell into. It's kind of addictive to read. The next 2 volumes are coming out spread over a couple of months later this year, so I went ahead and pre-ordered them because I know I'm going to want the physical copies of those books. The next book I ordered is the prequel novel for The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, which is called A Day of Fallen Night. It doesn't even have a cover yet, and I don't know anything else about it other than we're going back to this world from The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is so vast and rich. This story could touch on any number of things that we were introduced to in Priory of the Orange Tree, and I'm here for it. I also got a copy of The Stardust Thief. I read an e-arc of this novel last month. It was great. It was a 5-star read for me. I knew I wanted to have a physical copy of this novel on my bookshelf, and it comes out this month, I believe. The story is inspired by 1001 Nights. It is set in the desert. There are ghouls and jinn hunters and magical artifacts. It's about a merchant who makes her way through this world by selling jinn artifacts, which she finds because she has a jinn bodyguard, but they are outlawed by the Sultan. The Sultan's son has to go with this merchant on this quest to find an artifact, except all is not what it seems there. It's also a story about revenge and loyalty. The whole thing is steeped in magic. It was a really fun read, great adventure, and you should really check it out. Last, I picked up the forthcoming novel by R.F. Kuang, who wrote the Poppy War trilogy. It's called Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, and Arcane History of the Oxford Translators Revolution. I know that it's set at Oxford. We have kind of a dark academia thing going on. Translators, I believe, and they get embroiled in some sort of rebellion. I feel like since it's R.F. Kuang, we know it's going to be well researched. We know that history is made by those who wrote it down, right? So I feel like there's going to be that sort of side to it. Then also, it's going to be a novel with footnotes. It's a footnote style. So I'm excited to see what she does in this different sort of setting, but still in a fantasy world. That's it for my book haul and for my pre-orders. They will be trickling in over the next 6 months or so, and I will be talking about them as I read them. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some ideas for books coming out soon that you may want to check out yourself. What are you excited to read? What do you think about the books that I picked up in my haul? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to support your local library.